Hello and welcome to Guild Wars Players News, the podcast where we take a look at Guild Wars game series news and talk about content on our site, Guild Wars Players. I'm Sithrith, and today we have Draculetta.
Hey, everybody.
And we have Thalros.
Hello. Oh.
Yeah, so that's a thing. So Drac, how was Gen Con?
It was good. It was extremely crowded. They broke attendance records again this year.
Oh, nice.
There was over 61,000 people there.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was a lot of people.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
You put up a whole bunch of videos on the Players Alliance
I did.
YouTube page.
And I still have like 3 more to do that I
Oh, wow.
finally got. Well, actually 2 of them I got edited and 1 I still have to finish, but yeah. So there's 3 more and then I'm done with Gen Con for the year.
Awesome. So yeah, if any of our listeners are into like tabletop gaming and stuff like that, you should definitely go look at the YouTube channel because yeah, Drac went out and did the reporterly thing and interviewed people. So this week for Guild Wars 2, as you remember last week, we recorded earlier, so we have extra stuff to talk about this week that was technically kind of from last week, but you know, whatever. But first things first, right now, Guild Wars 2 ArenaNet is at Gamescom, which is in Cologne, Germany, and it's this big kind of gaming convention thing, and they've got a whole booth area set up with tons of computers for people to come and try out Heart of Thorns. You can follow their Flickr account, the ArenaNet Flickr account, because they've been posting up pictures there. They've also been live tweeting when they do Twitch streams and Periscope streams, which, I mean, I guess I'm falling behind in the gaming/tech world because I don't know what Periscope is, but it's a thing that they do, the kids these days, so you should do that, I guess. The kids these days.
Those darn kids and their newfangled toys.
Yeah, so whatever a Periscope is, watch it.
And to answer your question, Periscope is a new thing from Twitter where you can broadcast live video.
Oh, okay. Yes, the kids these days.
Yeah. Kids.
So
Get off my lawn.
Yep. So you can watch those. They've been doing a whole bunch of different streams at different times, just kind of all over the place, doing different things. So follow. The best way to keep track of all that stuff is to follow their Twitter because they tweet it all out. This weekend they're also having the finals for the World Tournament Series. It's going to be a big thing. And on Saturday, supposedly, they are going to be announcing something about some feature for Heart of Thorns. Don't know what yet. They have also, during Gamescom, come out and said that, yes, they are going to have Heart of Thorns released in 2015. They don't have a release date in mind, though.
It's a pretty empty statement. I think most people assumed it would be this year, although maybe
I don't
doubts
know.
are starting to come in considering how long it's been since they said
That's the thing. I've heard lots of people beginning to say that it's not going to happen until early 2016, but they have said it will happen in 2015.
You'd think, though, that the fact that they have to clarify that still should maybe give them a hint that they should speed up their announcement process, because
That's the thing. We had that Tempest announcement, so we thought we were going to go back to the weekly specialization releases, and we had the Tempest announcement, and then nothing.
Yeah, it just seems like if they're going to announce news this slowly, which, I mean, I guess can be a good thing sometimes, maybe, but the fact that they've already, like, put out the pre-order stuff, like, a few weeks ago, even a month, I don't remember how long it was now, but yeah, that long ago, it's starting to get a bit too long,
stale,
I think.
And you nailed it exactly. I think they did the pre-order way too early.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you remember, I was definitely wrong, because if you remember, my prediction was when they came out with all that information about refunding Heart of Thorns for people who were upset about it or whatever, all that stuff, they said, like, if you purchase the game by July 31st, they would do the thing or whatever. And I thought, well, the start date is January 23rd, which was the day before they announced Heart of Thorns generally. So I thought July 31st, that means August 1st, they would announce the release date. Obviously, it is now August 6th. That is not true. Unless, they suddenly decide, we're going to announce the release date on Saturday, even though they just said they don't have one in mind.
Yeah, it's just what it comes down to. If you're going to be slow, then don't put out pre-orders. But if you're going to put out pre-orders, then speed up how much information you're giving us, because you're asking people to spend money on this stuff.
Right.
Well, we don't even know half the stuff that's in that expansion yet.
It's kind of frustrating because the information they do provide, I do get excited about it, and I am really excited to play it. But they are stretching it out for a really, really long time.
Yeah, too far, I think.
So, yeah. But at Gamescom... Oh, yeah, go ahead, Drek.
Well, the most important thing about this whole conversation is, when did Gamescom become such a big convention? I mean, it's always been kind of big, but here lately, because, WoW today just announced their expansion at Gamescom.
Yep.
And
Twitch has a whole big booth.
Yeah, and somebody else, I forgot what somebody else announced something
There's been a couple
big
different
today
game
too,
announcements.
yeah. So I'm like, when did Gamescom become, the next big E3 base? Because it used to be E3 is where everybody went to, and then everybody started to go to PAX.
Prime as well.
Yep. Yeah. And then now
that's
all of a
the
sudden,
weird thing.
It's like Gamescom.
Because also this year PAX South, that was the first time there was a PAX South this year, and Guild Wars 2 announced Heart of Thorns at that, which was kind of random. So, yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I remember, I think Turbine announced something way back, a couple of years ago at Gamescom. I don't remember much else being big at that.
Yeah, it's usually not. I mean, nothing big news such as expansions or whatever usually does not break at a Gamescom. But I mean, good for them for growing their convention. But I mean, it's just everybody is there, because I've seen on Twitter, other games are making announcements and having panels, and
I almost wonder if it's just a matter of timing. E3 was too soon for most companies.
That could be
in their cycles or something, and so Gamescom just happens to be at a good time for them to announce stuff. Maybe, don't know. But so at Gamescom also is the World Tournament Series, August 8th at 1 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and ArenaNet has kind of put out these little get to know the competitors kind of posts on their official blog. So you can go to guildwars2.com, and they have little kind of interviews with some of the people on the various teams. So they talk to Rom of Orange Logo, they talk to 5Gauge of the Abjured, and they talk to, I don't know, is it Nocturne Z or Nocturnes? I'm not sure. I haven't watched any games with them.
Yeah. I think it's Nocturnes.
Yeah, we'll go with Nocturnes of GLHF, which is short for Good Look, Have Fun. And actually, I really like Nocturne's kind of attitude, because he's just very wanting to teach people PvP, and he's mostly interested in everybody having fun during the tournament and stuff. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, so that's pretty interesting, and we'll talk more about competitive PvP later in the show. On to more news. This weekend, besides the series finale, is also, they're calling it Beta Weekend 1, although technically we've had beta weekends. I mean, it wasn't I guess, a real beta weekend, but whatever. This weekend we're having a real beta weekend. So people who have pre-purchased Heart of Thorns will get to play Revenants, and you won't have to make them a human. Yay! Not making humans. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I knew that really bothered you the last time it was around.
I was so upset I had to make a human. I might make a Char. I don't know. We'll see. But so Revenants, you can make them any race you want. That's clearly not the important part, but it is to me. The Shiro Legend will be available, as will all 5 core specialization trait line things. Also, super exciting, beta participants will be able to play the Chronomancer, the Tempest, the Dragon Hunter, and the Reaper. Yay, I have level 80s of all of those, so I'm very excited, because those are classes that I play, at least semi-frequently, Necromancer very frequently. So I'm very excited to test those out. And the beloved Stronghold is going to be on this weekend, so get your Stronghold PvP fix in this weekend. I know I will.
Should be fun.
And the last beta weekend that apparently wasn't technically a beta weekend, beta participants will be able to take their beta characters out into the world, do PvP, do PvE, do World v World, all that kind of stuff. I have basically just settled on my life being Guild Wars 2 this weekend. I'll probably do a stream Sunday night like I did last time. May or may not get through all of this stuff, because there is a lot of beta stuff to test, because on top of the classes and the specializations, there's also going to be part of the Verdant Brink map available. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to try and test that, because I do want to leave some things like shiny and new for when the expansion hits, whenever that is.
I think a lot of these class specializations will be testing second person in PvP anyway. Like some people will probably be using them there, and obviously the Revenant as a whole class.
I'm going to be playing all of the things.
Underwhelming they were last time. We'll see how big their buffs were.
Mm-hmm. I'm very interested to see how those buffs play out. The numbers looked pretty good. Some of them may be a little high, some of them may be a little low, but we'll see in practice. So I'm very excited for tomorrow, because that comes out August 7th at noon Pacific time, and it runs until whatever Monday is. I can't math right now. That day, until noon that day. Okay, so now backtracking a bit to the news that we got last week. It is about fractals, which I know is kind of a sore spot for Drac and Atharos, and also me, because Maudry, I had to do all those fractals, and it was a thing, and it was terrible. But in Heart of Thorns, it sounds like fractals are not going to be too bad. I might actually do them. So basically what they announced last week was fractals are kind of getting, kind of an overhaul. They're kind of getting an overhaul. So as fractals right now, basically you go in and there are 4 quote-unquote islands. Well, technically 3 quote-unquote islands and then 1 boss fight island. But they're basically 4 different islands. And these are kind of random mini dungeons that you go through, and then you go to the next one. And so a fractal run is 4 of these mini dungeons, or islands as they call them. So a fractal run can be really long depending on if you get really difficult islands, or it can be difficult if random members of your group drop off, which happens a lot, unfortunately, because it's really long. It takes a long time to go through a whole fractal run. So they're going to be changing it so that 1 fractal run is 1 island, and you get to pick which island to do. So the idea with this is you'll get to practice certain islands to get better at them and beef up your tactics and stuff. They are also going to be lowering the difficulties for the lower scale difficulty ones, so that fractals generally are going to be more approachable, and to give something who are the higher tier fractal players something, they are going to be raising the difficulty level from 50 to 100. On top of that, the 50 plus difficulty range of fractals will have the mobs in them will have the health and damage output increase, but also different stats will be increased on the mobs. So it's going to kind of change up the meta. There won't just be stacking and all that sort of stuff. You'll have to figure out how to counter different stats. And also, as you tier up in these difficulty levels currently, there are these things called Mistlock instabilities that give you a debuff or whatever. Some of these are going to be changed. They're going to be updating them. Some of them are just going to be completely taken out and replaced by new ones. So, for example, there's currently a Mistlock instability that turns conditions into boons on enemies, and this instability is going to be replaced with one that prevents projectile blocking. And then really high-level difficulties will have multiple Mistlock instabilities. On top of all that, of course, they've got to change the rewards and the achievements. Fractals will have a different tab. There's going to be fractal dailies. There's going to be a new kind of thing called a fractal encryption that you get at the end of every fractal run. You can make... if you've never done fractals, you've probably done the fractal with the Asura who has all these golems that are like cat golems. Or they're golems with whiskers and cat ears, basically. And so you'll be able to make them as minis, which is kind of cute. There's going to be new fractal weapon skins and an easier way to get the current set of fractal weapon skins. You'll be able to buy weapon chests. Right now, a lot of people complain about not being able to get the fractal weapon skins because it's just a random drop and you don't necessarily get the weapon you want. So they're changing it to getting a chest and you pick the weapon you want. So that's going to be fractals. So do you think you guys will run fractals with that in mind now that it's 1 island at a time?
If maybe I think it was something like them being connected to stuff in Heart of Thorns, some sort of item you can get. I think was it legendaries you might have to go back in there for, or something like that.
Oh yeah, I don't remember.
Possibly that, then, or the guild halls, maybe something like that.
Oh yeah.
I could see maybe going in there for those. I don't think I'd do these on my own, but yeah. I mean, this is just generally better than what's before. I mean, who'd have thought being able to pick which one you want to do is more fun than having it be randomly selected for you? That wasn't fun. The ones we got given were less than enjoyable for the most part.
Yeah.
I did see
I know some people are concerned about this, though, saying that, oh, well, now only certain fractals will ever get run because people will figure out which ones are the most efficient and give the most loot for time spent and will only ever run those. But, I mean, I feel like that happens with dungeons and people still can... We've done all the dungeons. It wasn't that big of a deal. You can still run all the fractals.
Yeah. I mean, if people are going to, like, min-max that kind of stuff, they're going to do it. Can't really stop it. I think most people, like the vast majority, aren't going to care. They're just going to run.
Well, that's the thing. I think the population for Guild Wars 2 is large enough that, sure, there will be people who will min-max, but there will also be people who just want to run all of them, and at some point. So I don't think there will be much difficulty finding people to do fractals.
I'm glad that they're adjusting the lower difficulty, by the way, because we kind of got wrecked a bit.
Well, that's the thing. I am really glad that they are trying to make them more approachable, because as they are now, even we were doing them at tier 1 difficulty, and it was not great.
Yeah.
It was not great. We got wrecked multiple times, and it was just terrible. So another thing that they kind of announced along with the fractals is they're going to be introducing legendary backpacks. Not what I expected.
It's not a word you often see connected to the word legendary.
No. I don't know how to feel about legendary backpacks. They will be crafted by tailors, leatherworkers, and armorsmiths. Start with a simple backpack and work up to an account-bound precursor. I mean, I guess it'll depend on what they look like, if I care or not, because that's really all I care about.
People are going to name these? Is that going to be like recorded in history books? This noble warrior's legendary backpack? It sounds a bit daft, to be honest.
Well, I think you're still thinking of the Lord of the Rings Online legendary item kind of definition of legendary.
Yeah, I suppose the word legendary, if they're just using it as a category of like how good quality the item is, then fine. But then they say start with a simple backpack and work up to an account-bound precursor. They try and make it sound fancy, so I don't know.
Precursor is definitely more of a classification than a descriptor of the item, I'd say. Like, it's not, oh, this backpack is a precursor. Like, nobody, like, out of context, that doesn't mean anything. So, I don't know. I don't put too much stock in the legendary thing, other than it's the purple border around the item that means it's rarer than the other ones. That's just me, though. Another thing they're going to be doing in Heart of Thorns is introduce Ascended Salvaging. So you'll be able to salvage Ascended items, which you can't currently do. There will be Ascended salvage kits available from one of the merchants in the Mistlock Observatory, which is like a little starter area thingy when you're in Fractals. And salvaging Ascended items will give you a new item that you'll need to make legendaries in Heart of Thorns. I don't know if it's going to be all legendaries or if it's just going to be the new legendaries that they're introducing in Heart of Thorns. And speaking of new legendaries in Heart of Thorns, I'm so good at segues. Today, IGN released some information that Arena that actually technically released at Gamescom from their demo. But one of the things they said was that there will be 3 new legendaries available in Heart of Thorns. Don't know what weapons. And also, basically there's going to be 7 mastery track lines in Heart of Thorns. The first 3 are called the Central Tyria mastery lines, and they are acquirable from, old Tyria, like the Tyria we have now. And the 3 trait lines there are Fractal Attunement, Legendary Precursor Crafting, and Pact Commander. Fractal Attunement is going to give you new dailies for fractals, new infusions, buff items for fractals, and different challenge modes. So that's, fractals. It's pretty self-explanatory. Legendary Precursor Crafting Mastery line, also pretty self-explanatory. You craft legendary precursors. That's about it. The really interesting one, although I know Draconotherals also have some points of contention on this, is the Pact Commander Mastery line. This focuses on mentoring new players, and it gives you a special icon over your head or in chat that kind of indicates that you're happy to help out new players. You'll be able to revive allies faster, and you will be able to auto-loot, and you'll get speed boosts in cities.
Auto loot, really? That's where you're gonna make him unlock. that's what you're gonna do. It's stupid. I'm sorry. I'm gonna come out and say it. I think that's stupid.
And I 100% agree with you. It is. It's just stupid to. Can't even think of the word I want to use. I guess block your auto loot behind a certain mastery line.
Thing.
Yeah, or achievement. Yeah.
Why? Like if you're gonna put that in the game, give it to everyone because that's a quality of life improvement.
Exactly. I don't get what they're thinking. I mean, I like everything else about this, but that.
Right.
Yeah, like speed boosts, it's meh.
Yeah,
you get them in that's just from talking to certain people anyway, so it's fine.
It's nice that, you can signify yourself as like, hey, I'll help new players. I'd like to help new players. If you need help, look for this icon and, that person will help you. That's cool. That's great for any new players that's going to come in.
But, and the other thing is, like, I can see how a speed boost in cities can help mentor people, because it's like, oh, I have to run across the city to go help this person or whatever. But I don't see how auto-looting helps mentor new players. It seems out of place.
Yeah. It's just a perk that it doesn't fit to me. Yeah. That should be for everyone, because that's just going to make everyone's playing easier. From Lotro, where they have this just as standard, and I know that argument doesn't really work for everything. Like, this game has this, so this game should. But this is something that's just like, it makes the gameplay easier and more efficient.
Yeah.
Like, there's no challenge to right-click or press F to loot every single time you fight something.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It seems so out of place in an otherwise, like you guys said, very nice, helpful mastery line that sounds like it could be really great, and I'd definitely be interested in having that icon or whatever and helping new players. But yeah, the auto loot just doesn't... It seems kind of added in randomly.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I do not get the decision-making process that whoever made this decision decided this was a good idea.
Yep. And so then there are 4 other mastery lines, and they're called the Heart of Maguma mastery lines because they will be available in the new Heart of Thorns areas. And one is gliding, which we knew about, and this mastery line will be able to unlock invisible gliding or faster gliding. There's also an Itza lore mastery line, a New Hawk lore line, and an Exalted lore line. So that is pretty interesting. Not a whole lot of details on those still, but it's good to know the other 3 that will be available in Central Tyria or whatever.
Why would invisible gliding be helpful? That's like, is that just going to mean you don't aggro mobs? Will there be that many mobs if you're gliding around?
Yeah, I guess it kind of depends.
I haven't seen the landscape, so maybe there will be some like higher up or something. I don't know.
Maybe if you're like flying close, like I'd imagine, like if you jump off a tall place and like you glide, since there's going to be multiple levels of the jungle, maybe like if say you're trying to glide down to the bottom layer, you're going to have to go through some area in the middle that might have mobs and you'll want to avoid them. I don't know.
I suppose you can see that.
Yeah, like you said, we haven't really seen the landscape, so it's kind of hard to say if that would be useful or not. Faster gliding obviously makes sense. That's yes. So yeah, that is about it for news for the past 2 weeks, basically. Definitely looking forward to whatever the announcement is on Saturday. So we'll move on to Guild Wars Players News, and Drek, tell us about this week's Sounds of Tyria.
We are still taking a look at Guild Wars factions this week. I chose to spotlight the Age of the Dragon track. This is a pretty cool little track. It's kind of just a mellow, laid-back type vibe to it. You can get some slight bits every now and again, a little bit of the Oriental theme that Factions has. It kind of slightly comes through. It's not overly, an Oriental type sound to it, but just every now and again it pops in. But I think what really makes this track is the cellos that are in it.
Yeah, I was listening to this while I was PvPing today, and it made my PvP feel a lot more epic.
Yeah, it does. Exactly. So, and that's because of the cellos, I think. Cellos are awesome.
Yeah, cellos are pretty awesome. I used to play cello when I was little.
You?
I did. See? So there you go. That's why they're awesome.
And I never really knew I liked cellos until there's a couple other songs on the Faction soundtrack that they use a lot of cello work in. And when I was trying to decide what song to pick, I'm like, I think I like cellos as a musical instrument, and I did not know.
Now you know. Did you know that there are electric cellos, Drek?
I did, because there is a band called Yeah, that's
Apocalyptica.
Right. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. And they use electric cellos. So yes.
Yeah, there's also another band called Murder by Death that also uses an electric cello.
Ooh,
the more you learn,
we'll have to check them out.
Players. Yeah,
make a mental note.
Yep, definitely. So this week we do have a video spotlight, and this time I decided to kind of do a bit different of a video than I usually do. Usually the videos I pick are shorter and they're about the lore or whatever, but this week, since the World's Tournament Series finale is going on, I decided to post a video from the ESL Weekly PvP Cup from July 16th, so this is just like a weekly kind of cup they do, and this was from last month, and I just kind of wanted to show what it's like to like watch and listen to some casting about, competitive PvP. I mean, technically PvP on its own is just competitive, but I mean like tournament kind of competitive PvP. So this video shows both the semifinal and the final of that weekly cup. And Atheros, I know you watched a little bit of it, and I know you also watch a lot of League of Legends, so you can kind of talk to how they differ, I suppose.
Yeah, it was a little strange for me watching this because, as I mentioned, I do watch a fair amount of League of Legends esports, which is very different. Like the way they do things is different. Like I think the main thing I noticed, like right off the bat, is they spend about the first 5 minutes just covering the different builds that everyone is using.
Mm-hmm.
In League of Legends, they pretty much only show the picks and bans, like this champion is picked, they're using this one, these are the ones they banned, and that's it. Then they go into the game and it starts. They don't show what different stuff how they've actually built it or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's different because in Guild Wars, obviously, there's a lot more customizing done. But it was interesting they covered pretty much every single player, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was interesting. It kind of overwhelming because I don't think most people would even remember everything that they showed.
Right.
Seems like something you would just go back and watch if you were curious for like your character, if you want to try out something or something like that.
Right.
I think the other thing, going further into it, it was maybe it's because I'm not as I haven't been playing this game as long, and maybe there's just so much more of the abilities. It was hard for me to see what was going on compared to League of Legends, where a lot of the skills are just lower cooldown or longer cooldowns, and they're more impactful individually. So I could point out, they use this ability there. In this, it's like there's just so many special effects everywhere. It was hard to actually get a grasp of like who was winning in general. Like, you can look at health bars, but that's kind of not always. There's not always, it's not, especially with certain classes like Ellie's who can heal a lot,
or Necros who will just randomly pop a death shroud
with a second health bar. It's stuff like that. It was kind of hard to see where the momentum was going.
Mm-hmm. I think the one thing that always throws me off is, obviously they're in spectator mode for these matches because they're spectators, and moving the camera around always really throws me off. For some reason, I don't know why. It just makes it really confusing for me. But that might just be me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's definitely a very different look at the game, looking at it from a tournament perspective rather than just doing unranked PvP all the time. So yeah, it's something a bit different.
Mm-hmm.
And this week's weekly outfit is Mini Janie, the Asura Elementalist. And this was sent in by Romo, who said, "Hi guys, I'm a new listener. Started a few episodes." Of course, it's an email that I just can't talk on. Okay. "Hey guys, I'm a new listener." I said listener wrong. "Started a few episodes back. I heard about a weekly outfit segment you guys have, so I figured I'd share my favorite character. Hope you guys like her. She's small, fast, and deadly." And Romo included some very, very nice screenshots, standing in the grove and underwater. Interesting choice of weapons. The Asura has a super staff, which kind of looks like a regular staff, but then it's got a pixely, glowy bird on the top, which is interesting. And also the Chaos Trident underwater. So lots of glowy weapons here. I also like the very, very turquoisey hair. So yeah, go check out this very blue, glowy Asura Elementalist.
I think it's not often people show their underwater weapons and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like
this is one of the first ones that has.
Yeah, I feel like most people don't put time into choosing a underwater weapon that matches their character as much as their above water weapon does.
I mean, for obvious reasons, but yeah.
Yeah, we're not underwater a whole lot, so it makes sense. But it's definitely a nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is about it for news from our site. So Atharos, what did you do this week?
Not a whole lot, really. Mm-hmm. I've been beating myself with Dark Souls again, so kind of been busy sobbing over that. I did a bit of Silver Wastes occasionally. I'm up to about 180 gold now, which isn't bad.
Oh, nice.
Using your method of getting gold, so it's been working out okay. Yeah, again. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I did a bit of that, made some gold. Other than that, I just leveled my Guardian a bit more. He is now level 42. I think I'm about 31% will complete now. Yeah, I finished the personal story today, which was pretty good actually. I just did the bit where you do the first mission for the order that you chose. Mine was the Vigil. So we went down to Ebonhawk and dealt with some of those Renegade Char, which was actually quite fun. My first impressions of Vorgel, I think that's his name, the Norn companion dude. I actually quite liked him, to be honest. He's kind of a sassy old man.
Sassy old man.
I actually kind of liked him. It was a little not awkward, but kind of weird feeling because I recognized the voice actor, and yeah, he did some of the like kids show back in the day, and that kept reminding me of it when I was listening to him talk. But yeah, I actually quite like him. I don't know whether I'm going to see he's like my favorite yet. I'm kind of withholding judgment so far, but I definitely like him at least.
Cool. I still haven't finished my Vigil storyline off, so yeah, I can't really speak much to Vorgel either.
I did get to make the choice of what race to study. Of course, Chars can't choose Quarians, so I was in a bit of a dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up picking Ogres because it was out of Ogres, Skrit, and Gruul. Gruul, I think, just kind of boring because they copy, like, worship whatever's near them. I mean, there's not really much interesting about that, to be honest. At least from what it seems like. Maybe if I do that eventually, I'll find something new, but yeah. Skrit are just meant to be that kind of comic relief race, from what it seems like. You know, they just don't seem that interesting. Like, the Ogres, they're supposed to be like a really ancient race and stuff. I'm kind of curious to see a bit more about them. And obviously they're more connected to the brand than the others, so maybe I'll get some interaction with that, which is always a cool place.
Yeah.
That's pretty much everything.
Cool. Drek, how was your week?
It was good until I got back from Gen Con.
And tried to play Guild Wars 2.
And tried to play Guild Wars 2 because I'm still crashing.
Oh boy.
There was apparently another update that I missed, because when I went to launch the game, it did update, and I thought, oh good, whatever happened, this update should fix it, but nope. I get to character select my character, enter the world. Soon as I zone into the world, I crash immediately to the desktop. So I'm gonna look around and see if anybody else is having the problem, but I think what I'm going to do is just uninstall Guild Wars 2 completely and reinstall it and see if that fixes the problem. Because apparently one of my files has gotten corrupted or something weird like that.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
So, yeah. So, I didn't get to play it all.
I really hope that works for you, though.
Yeah, I do too. If not, I guess I'll send ArenaNet an email and see if they can figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Because nothing on my computer changed. The only thing that changed was that last patch that we had, and it started after that.
Didn't update Windows 10 yet?
Nope. Well, I did, but not on my game machine.
Right.
So, yeah. Crazy, crazy, crazy.
Sounds like it.
So how about you? What have you been doing?
I've been pretty busy this week, so I haven't played as much as I normally do. But, I used the Total Makeover Kit on my Char Necro, because I don't have a Total Makeover Kit problem. Everybody else does. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm down to only having 2 female characters now, which is a really weird experience, because normally in MMOs, I only play female characters. So, I don't know. It's really strange. But my Char Necro is a guy now.
I find it kind of interesting that I think it seemed like you started off playing Guild Wars with Char, because cats, and then you sort of shifted to Sylvari, and now you seem to be going back to Char a bit more.
Yeah.
Maybe
there's like
it's
waves
the female
of
Tavares voice is incredibly irritating. I don't know, but
well, all of my char are male now, so
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, because I don't think I mentioned on the show, but I did use a total makeover kit on my engineer as well, and he's a male now as well.
All so that
yeah, there's a lot of it. It's hard to keep track of what gender my characters are. They're just all over the place. But yeah,
it's
my
also
characters
hard for some other people to keep track of it.
It's hard for other players to keep track. Yes. But yeah, my characters go in waves of salads and cats. Salads and cats.
Salads and cats.
Yeah, I'm definitely on a big char kick at the moment because I have that char elementalist, a char necro, char engineer. Is that it? Do I only have 3? Oh, and I have that like level 70 something thief that I'm realistically never ever gonna play. Like I was gonna get him to level 80 next, but like I'm really tempted to just delete him. But he's so high level, I feel like I shouldn't
do it.
But he's so high. He's like so high level, but I'm never really gonna play a thief.
It's a thief. They deserve it.
You want to just cull all thieves from the world, basically.
I do want to cull all the thieves. Because they're thieves.
Because they're thieves. So, on my newly made-over Char Necro, he looks wonderful, by the way, if in case anybody was wondering. I did a lot of Edge of the Mists with him, trying to level him up, or her up, or they up. I don't know anymore. That character. I also need to get a name change. I came up with a new name for that char because I don't think Nyx Mantia really fits my male char.
Not quite.
No.
Can you actually change names after you made them?
Yeah, you can get the name change tokens. That's how you changed.
I forgot.
Changed your character's name.
It's been so long since I used it.
Yeah, that was ages ago. But I'm trying to think. I don't remember what I decided to rename. I wrote it down somewhere, but I'm sure I'll talk about it once I get it. But name change token is 800 gems, so it's pretty steep. So that'll be a while yet. I also did a little bit of PvP this week after not doing much of any PvP for like the past 2 weeks. So getting back into doing that. I brought my Char Necro into PvP. I was like, oh yeah, Necro. I'll just like PvP with this character to like level them and get tomes and whatever. First PvP match on that character, Courtyard. Bad omen. We won though. So, well, actually no. I think it ended in a tie because we were both at 225. So it just nobody won.
What happens if it is a tie? I don't think I've beaten one of
those
before.
The game just ended when the time ran out, and yeah, I don't know. I didn't pay attention to how much money I got, so I didn't see. But yeah, it was kind of weird. Very intense match though. But yeah, that's really it. Besides all my total makeover kitting and chars and salad waves and stuff. Oh yeah, and silver wastes as well. But yeah, so that's about it. We do not have any donations. We don't have any donations this week. I'm Sithrith, and I know how to talk. We don't have any donations this week, but we would love your support. To help support Guild Wars players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance Network on Patreon. You can get rewards like being on the show as a guest or just get a mention. We don't have any new reviews on iTunes, at least as recently as I checked. We do have some comments. Mel commented on Guild Wars Players News number 33. Technically, commented last week, but with the whole recording at a different time, I didn't notice it. So Mel says, I'd like to argue that if the Revenant can now swap weapons, then Engineers and Elementalists should be allowed to as well. With that argument anyways. Engineers are forced to use kits if they want to swap weapons, which takes away from the utilities. And sure, one can rule Ellies out because they can swap between 4 attunements, but they're stuck with one playstyle at a time, either close or ranged really. Now, Revenants will have 2 weapon sets and 2 skill bar sets. That sound fair to the other classes? Sure, it needs balancing, but this is not a balance it fix.
Words. Words are hard.
Words are so hard. So my argument, I don't really agree with Mel. Sorry, Mel, but I just don't. My argument is that, yes, Elementalists do have 4 attunements, and sure, they're stuck with one weapon at a time, and yes, Engineers have to use kits to swap out different skills. However, the difference is, and the reason Revenant needs weapon swap is basically they designed those weapons to correspond, like the skills for each weapon are designed to go with the certain legends. Like the staff is designed to go with Ventari because all of its skills are based on healing. I mean, obviously they do damage too, but they are designed to go with the utility skills and everything for Ventari. The hammer is designed to go with Jalis, so it makes sense. I mean, I feel like by Mel's argument, you might as well say just looking at any of the characters that can weapon swap now, elementalists and engineers should be able to weapon swap. It depends on how the weapon skills and their utility sets are designed, whether they get weapon swap or not. And I feel that with Revenant's weapons, the way they're designed, they need to be able to swap weapons when they swap legends. And that's about it.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to gauge like how much effect just letting classes swap these sort of things around gives them. Mm-hmm. It seems like something we would have to see, like, obviously this week we'll be able to see at least some of that. Right. How much impact it has. I think you would have a point with that, yeah, because like certain legends just only really work with certain weapons. They're like really tied together. And yeah, that's probably the main crux of it. But yeah, we'll have to see, like, maybe this is too much with the other buffs that the Revenant got. We'll need to bear that in mind because they received a whole lot of different kind of buffs.
That's true.
Maybe certain ones end up being too much and they can pull back on some of them. We'll see. I mean, as far as LEs and engineers go, they were doing fine before the Revenant came around.
Right.
So if they get like a buff because of the Revenant, that would probably put them above the other classes, at least to some small degree, at least.
Well, that's the thing. In PvP at least, elementalists and engineers are quite potent. So
yes, potent.
Clearly not having weapon swap is not really a hindrance for them. And elementalists are a huge part of the meta when it comes to PvE and dungeons and stuff. So again, not really suffering from the lack of weapon swap.
Yeah, if anything, they could maybe ungive the Revenant that. If I'm making up words now, they could maybe do that if it turns out that the Revenant is too powerful with that, along with the other buffs they got, or they could just revert some of the other buffs and keep this.
Yeah, I would definitely prefer to see them.
The latter probably seems more appropriate.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
More flexibility and less power seems better than more power and less flexibility.
Exactly. So, yeah, and then we also, I got a Twitter reply saying from Flossing saying that he used the gold guide that I posted and he really enjoyed it, and there was tons of constant battles, and the cinematics for the Vinewrath are amazing.
Yeah, pretty good.
They're pretty cool, but I mean,
less amazing
the 10th
after
50. Yeah, you get a little tired of them after you start farming it for a while.
I did get to see once the tendrils like going into the land, like as the thing starts, like not the actual boss fight, but then when the whole starting up the bar, I guess that bit, like right at the beginning, that was actually pretty cool. Seeing them like the mouths go into the earth and stuff like that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is definitely something to watch. It's pretty cool. So, you can email us if you'd like to email us. You can send an email to podcast@guildwarsplayers.com. You can also send us asks to guildwarsplayers.tumblr.com. Also, fun fact, we do have a Facebook page. You can go to facebook.com/guildwarsplayers. If you can type as well as I can talk, it might be a bit difficult. You can also find us on Twitter. The Players Alliance Network is @PlayersAlly. Our site is @GWPlayers. I am @Sithrith. There's also @Draculetta_72 and @Athelros. And of course, you can also contact us in game. I'm Sithrith.6741. There's also Draculetta.7410 and Athelros.3164. The Players Alliance has a whole bunch of live shows. 8:30 p.m. on Mondays is DDO Players. Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern is our show, and Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern is Lotro Players News. You can get to all the live shows by going to guildwarsplayers.com/live. There's a link to our Mixlr chat where you listen to the shows and join in the chat. And thank you all very much for listening and maybe tolerating my words. And this is Sithrith reminding you to look before you leap or talk.